welcome into One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXZY Sunlink Channel 112. We are live from Studio 318 on the beautiful campus of Oklahoma State University. I am joined by my co-host Logan Mosher, as always, and the ever-important Hallie Hart, the sports editor of the Ocali. I got your name right this time. We're off to a good
first try.
start.
Good job.
I tried. So we are on the heels of a 44-21 victory for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and it was a huge game. I'm sorry, I did not see this coming. I don't think a lot of people did. I don't think Logan saw it coming.
Hey, I picked him to win on Friday. We talked all week, and I was picking against him, but on Friday I changed my mind.
So you were the opposite of Vegas.
Yes, exactly. I'm smarter than Vegas.
Oh, well, if you are, take your money and let's get a new studio, because you can make a lot of money if you're smarter than Vegas. But a huge day for the Cowboys. What did you make of the performance as a whole?
Well, I was kind of surprised too because, I was on your radio show and I did pick that OSU would win, but I thought it'd be like a one-touchdown game. I thought it'd be a lot closer. I remember saying that Boise State was going to come out with the lead and then it was going to be really tight and then OSU was going to end up winning. So I did not expect a 44-21 score. I think that's a good sign for the Cowboys as far as what's to come because they've got Big 12 play coming up starting this Saturday with Texas Tech coming to Boone Pickens Stadium. So I do think that being able to get a statement victory, even though it's a non-conference opponent, it's a team like Boise State that's good. It's got experienced players. You've got Brett Rippon, who's a skilled quarterback. And for the OSU defense, I know there were a couple great catches that Boise State made, but in general, OSU's defense did a good job of shutting down Rippon and the offense. And so overall, I think it is a good sign for what's ahead for OSU this season.
Yes, I was very, very impressed. I was very happy with how that game played out. It started off a little shaky. The special teams was great, and we're going to get into all that, but I want to start with offense. There was a lot of criticism, and I know you've been on the show after the first week. We all criticized Taylor Cornelius, and I stand by those criticisms. I think they were fair at the time, and I still think they're fair. He's not a guy that's going to go out and win you the game, but he's not going to lose it. Like, that's his one thing, and throwing downfield could use some improvement. But Saturday, he was very good, and he did everything that the Cowboys asked of him, including running the ball. So how impressed were you with Taylor Cornelius Saturday?
Yeah, it was interesting because it was kind of almost like you watched him, in a way, kind of grow up and mature as a quarterback within one game, just from where it started to where it ended. Because at the start, honestly, it was rough. He wasn't completing very many passes. The Cowboys just couldn't get any offense going there at the start. And then suddenly you see Taylor Cornelius, the rusher, out of nowhere. At one point, he was like the leading running back instead of Justice Hill. And I know it didn't turn out that way at the end of the game, but there were some interesting stats when he started with those quarterback keeper plays. But then after he did that, I think he kind of got a little more comfortable using his legs on his feet, and then it seemed that he kind of eased into the role of completing some more passes. I mean, it still was shaky at times. There was a time or two, I think, like he underthrew Tylan Wallace or overthrew Tyron Johnson, and luckily those receivers, they're good enough that they were still able to make the catches and gain some yards for the Cowboys that way. But I do think that overall Cornelius seems to ease into that role. And Boise State, they're not an easy opponent. Their defense is experienced. So even though, like I said, even though it was non-conference, that wasn't some no-name defense that Cornelius had to stand up against. So it was a good performance for him.
Yeah, 15-26, 243 yards and a touchdown through the air, 16 rushes and 41 yards and 2 scores on the ground. It certainly felt like he had a lot more than 41 yards on the ground.
It did.
Well, Logan, do you agree with Hallie? Were you overly impressed with how well he played?
I was. I think the first couple of games they didn't really let Cornelius get out there and run because they wanted to keep that a secret for Boise State, and they let him kind of play the kind of quarterback or the kind of football, he's used to, and he was able to get out there, like you said, 16 carries, 41 yards, but it felt like a lot more. Got 2 touchdowns with his legs. I think he was more comfortable playing this way than he has been the past couple weeks. So, I mean, I was really impressed with what he did.
Yes, the backfield, as Robert Allen coined it. Robert Allen was first. The Justice League. Justice Hill had 15 carries, 123 yards, another long run, and he had a score. J.D. King, 5 carries, 16 yards. So Justice Hill and Cornelius were really the ones that had it going on the ground. But what I was amazed with, even more so than how well Cornelius played, was the offensive line.
Yeah.
Like, I was... it just made me so happy to see how well they played because they did not play very well against South Alabama and Missouri State. So Hallie, when you saw that offensive line, I was nervous going into that. Boise State returned 10 out of 11 starters on defense. They were, as you said, very experienced. Our secondary was great. They didn't get a lot of pressure on Cornelius.
Yeah. So Gundy, you know, a couple weeks before, after the Missouri State and South Alabama games, he'd mentioned how the offensive line needs to get better. They just weren't, I mean, he said they'd have like moments, flashes, glimpses where you could see that they were a good offensive line, but then there were times when they just didn't have it together. And even though after this game he says that they still need to improve, he's definitely more optimistic about the offensive line, and I think he has reason to be. And one thing is, you know, the first two games, you kind of had him subbing in different guys. They used a lot of different guys at offensive line, and there wasn't really a set. I mean, of course, you have the starters on the depth chart, but they were kind of moving people around, and I feel like it was kind of just a matter of setting the lineup that's right. This week, going into this game, you have Larry Williams starting over at right guard. It was Shane Richards at the start of the season, but they've got Williams in that position, and then that allows Marcus Keys to start at left guard. I know before on the depth chart it had been, like it said, Marcus Keys or Larry Williams at left guard, but then they moved Williams over right, so they'll both have a chance to start. And Marcus Keys, he's a strong guy out there, so that's good that he'll get to play. But yeah, I think it's a matter of them just kind of getting that set lineup and having some more chemistry out there on the field. So they've still got some work to do, but it was a good sign for him.
Yeah, and you saw the flashes of what Justice Hill can really do. When you give him the ball, he is going to make plays. He had that long run of 53 yards.
Should have been, what did they take off of that, 16 yards or something like that?
Yeah.
Where he stepped out of bounds?
Oh, yeah.
Should have had that. They should have given him those yards.
Yeah, and he would have scored on that one. So for you, Logan, it's frustrating to watch, and we don't get paid to do anything.
Right.
But we're not paid to be football coaches, but you're watching these first two games, like even though they were dominant, if you'd have got Justice Hill involved even earlier than they did, would have been over, but that's why they don't pay us the big bucks. They finally got him involved Saturday. How crucial do you think his involvement was for the offense?
I think it was big. I mean, I think a lot of teams are game planning around Justice Hill. I think they kind of unleashed him with 15 carries. I thought he was going to have at least 20, maybe even 25, but they kept him to 15. I think as the year goes on, you're going to see those carries go up and up and up, and I think he's the most important player on the offensive side of the ball.
I was not thrilled when they ran him out in the Wildcat.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that play call, but it didn't end up working out. They stalled a couple times in the red zone. This score could have been, of course, if you take away the blocked punts, it's probably, and they scored in the red zone, it's probably the score that we have. But receiving-wise, Tylan Wallace, and I wanted to ask you this, Hallie. Last year he was a backup. He was on the second team in practice. So was Taylor Cornelius. Now he's kind of shown himself to be the #1 guy now. Do you think that goes back to where they were last year and kind of that, I don't know, the relationship that they formed in practice last year, or is Tylan Wallace just that good?
That'd be an interesting question to ask. You know, it does seem like Cornelius really likes throwing to Wallace. I think they have a good connection out there on the field, but I don't really know as far as their past history. It would be interesting at a future availability to kind of talk to Cornelius and Wallace and ask him about that. But I think no matter who's playing at quarterback, Wallace is a guy who's going to be a good receiver. You know, I think a lot of quarterbacks would want to throw to him, and it's interesting to really see him step up. I think I said this on your radio show, but I did choose Tylan Wallace as the breakout player this season, so it's pretty cool to see him doing big things out there. But even though I like Cornelius to Wallace, I think that's a good strategy for the Cowboys, but I also think you can't overlook Tyron Johnson because he's got some skill out there too.
Yeah, he had a couple drops on Saturday, as did Dylan Stoner. Tylan Wallace, 5 receptions, 105 yards. Dylan Stoner, 5 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And one pass play for 3 yards when they ran the, as Zach coined it, the Stilly special, a little stealing it from the Eagles in the Super Bowl. But otherwise, I was just impressed with every phase of offense. Like I said, they kind of stalled a couple times in the red zone, but they got points. Special teams was great. But overall grade for the offense as a whole. You know, I love doing these grades.
Okay, I'm going to say overall grade, let's see, after, it would have been the Missouri State game that I came on here, and I gave him a B, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think since Boise State is a tough opponent, I think they earned an A- this time. I think there's definitely things that they could improve. Like you mentioned, a couple of those receivers dropping some passes, and Cornelius could be more accurate with some of his throws, but he's definitely easing into that role at quarterback. The offensive line stepped it up, so they definitely deserve a better grade than they got last time. So I'm going to say A- overall. Maybe like 93. Maybe.
93. What about for you, Logan?
I was going to say a 93. I was going to say they improved on the offensive line, which was a big key. The receivers, like you said, a couple drops, but that's nothing to knock them that many points. You know, we were in Shane's class earlier today grading y'all's videos, so we're in a grading mood today. But Chuba Hubbard didn't have that great of a game, and besides Justice Hill, none of the other running backs really did. But what can you expect? Justice Hill is the guy you got to get the ball, so I'm going to give him like a 92 or a 93.
I hope you guys graded my video with.
Which one was yours?
Oh, we don't want to talk about it. Let's just hope you gave me a good score. We'll see. I would probably give them an A as well. Like I said, they did make some mistakes. The play calling wasn't great in the red zone, but for Yurcich to get Cornelius involved, and we know why he didn't do that against South Alabama and Missouri State for this reason, because Boise State didn't really see that coming. Yeah. If they would have watched our show on Wednesday with Robert Allen, they would have known.
Yeah,
Robert Allen knew.
Robert told him.
And he was absolutely correct, by the way, with the bag of tricks. They only really did it 2 times. Oklahoma State really foiled the trick play by Boise State, and the Stilly special didn't, I mean, it was a completed pass, but at the end of the day, it didn't go for anything big. It wasn't flashy. But I was impressed that, the dropped passes, but those things you can clean up. I was overly impressed with how well that Taylor Cornelius played, and that offensive line. I can't stress enough how great they were. And for a tough opponent like Boise State, they're basically a Power 5. They're a group of 5 team, but, I mean, as Robert said on Wednesday, they have more wins than anyone since the year 2000, and that's including Alabama. So they are a very tough opponent. They have a great coaching staff, and this was a huge win for Oklahoma State. So we have a couple minutes left in this segment. We're going to forget this one offensively. We're moving on to Texas Tech. I believe they gave up 42, 49 points to Houston. What are the Cowboys going to have to do offensively on Saturday to beat Texas Tech? I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I think Taylor Cornelius is definitely going to have to continue on that path that he's been on, just kind of keep growing. I know that Gundy at the conference today, they talked about Cornelius having the running plays and stuff, but he said, we can't do that all the time. He knows that, they can have the quarterback keeper plays. I know he ran for 2 touchdowns, but he recognizes that Cornelius can't just be a running quarterback. He's going to make sure to complete those passes too. I think definitely we should see more Justice Hill, because I think it was perfect to limit him to those 15 carries. That's exactly what Gundy wanted for the Boise State game, because he wants to save him, he wants to keep him healthy, where he can still make an impact on the game. But, I think it's good that he didn't have Hill up to like 20 carries in that game. But I predict that he'll have more against Texas Tech, because when it gets to these Big 12 opponents, they're going to need to use him more. So I think he's a key on the offense, especially if you get some other running backs out there too, like Chuba Hubbard. I think he could make a difference. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do against their first Big 12 opponent for sure. But, if they could beat Boise State, you just mentioned how good they are, I think they might be fine against Texas Tech.
Well, they gave a lot of points to Houston, but unfortunately they scored a lot as well. Really quickly, Logan, what do they have to do offensively Saturday?
I think Hallie said it best. You got to get other guys involved, maybe more Justice Hill. Limit Cornelius's run plays, because it's not good to have your quarterback running out there to take hits. So that's my.
Yeah, just mistake-free football like they played Saturday. No interceptions, no fumbles. That's what they need to do. Play clean football. We do have to get out of here and take a break, but we will be back. Are you going to stay one more segment?
Yeah, of course.
We're going to talk about the special teams and defense.
Yeah.
Most exciting part.
Special teams.
Yes. So we're going to take a break here on One-on-One with our guest, Hallie Hart. We'll be right back. But first, we want to thank one of our sponsors, the Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about 100% college tuition. We'll be right back on One-on-One, Ocean Student Radio, KXZY, Sunlink, Channel 112.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult. It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care. It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to One on One on Ocean Student Radio KXZY Suddenly Channel 112. We are joined by the sports editor, your colleague, Allie Hart, and always Logan Mosier. I'm Reed Spencer. We are live from Studio 318 here at OSU. As we're seeing on the bump in, that defense was phenomenal Saturday. Special teams, I have some criticisms of special teams.
I was going to bring that up.
Let's start there. You know how I am, Logan.
Yeah, you're really hard on the special teams, like
well,
harder than on anyone else.
Well, they don't block, as we're seeing here. You know, they had the 7 sacks, the 1 fumble recovery, which that fumble was iffy. But it didn't matter in the end. It was at the end of the game. The 2 block punts, 1 for a touchdown and 1 that led to a touchdown. So here's my criticisms of the special teams.
Okay, let's hear it.
Matt Amendola was great. The punting, bad. Kickoffs, bad. If they don't have those, those blocked punts, which they were great and ton of credit, and Dylan Stoner was good returning, those are things that will come back and bite you if you don't play a rather perfect game outside of that like they did. So I don't know. Have you heard when Siner's coming back?
You know, it's interesting because Gundy said that he could have come back for the Boise State game, but he didn't. I would probably expect him to come back and punt against Texas Tech, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting if Gundy says that he could come back and then he doesn't these few weeks. I don't really know about that. But I do think that, Matt Hockett and Jake McClure, they both got some work to do for sure. But I was honestly shocked with those blocked punts.
Yeah,
I mean, I did not expect that to happen at all the first time. And then when it happened the second time, I was like, wow, this is another one. So just to see the special team step up like that, yeah, they've got some work to do, but I think that was incredible and kind of a highlight of the game, really, because it was so surprising.
Yeah, the Boise State punter, his name, I'm trying to find him here. Well, not a good day for him. Quinn Skillen, that was his name. He had a very rough day because those weren't his fault. They were just in his face in no time. So why I do have criticisms, the special teams had a huge impact on that game and turning, the tide of the game towards Oklahoma State. So they were great, but you just kind of like on offense with the dropped passes.
Yeah.
Really good performance, as somebody from Washington is calling me. I don't think I know them. So other than that.
Should have let him get on, Reed.
Maybe. No. Are you taking callers now? What's happening?
We might have somebody from Washington calling in. I don't know. But just clean up those little things. But other than that, special teams probably won them the game. I mean,
Yeah.
they were great. So how shocked were you? As shocked as Hallie when they blocked those punts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time our special team blocked more than one punt was that Texas 2 years ago when we blocked
It
multiple
might have
punts.
been.
I remember the stadium during that game was crazy, and I unfortunately wasn't able to be there on Saturday, but I bet it was crazy in there. Kenny was telling me they were more shocked when they didn't block a punt as the day went on. But I mean, yeah, it had a big impact. That can turn the tide, especially like getting the fans involved like that, getting it like more rowdy in there. I think special teams, I mean, it was obviously a multiple touchdown game. I think if special teams doesn't have those 2 blocked punts, it's a lot closer, like you were saying earlier.
I mean, you could take 14 points off the board. And Boise State missed a kick in the first quarter as well. So, I mean, it could have been a lot closer game, but that's football. It's a game of inches. It's the little things that matter in the end. But my grade, even though I have criticisms, I'll give them an A because,
Whoa.
yeah.
What
Reed's giving
does
special
it take
teams
to
an
give
A.
like a
Wow.
high A
To a high A
for special teams? What does it take?
Don't kick out. Don't kick. Like you have to. Don't let them have the ball at the 35. Like kick it out of the end zone.
Okay.
Or at least let them return it because when you one time, as Jeff Hopper, who works in the news press, I was talking to him Saturday. His excuse was he's in the stadium, and he said to somebody who was sitting by him, even pro golfers, the greatest golfer in the world, misses a wedge shot every once in a while. The second time, they don't miss those shots. That doesn't happen. Just clean it up because although it didn't come back and get you, it can. So it's always things that you can clean up, but give them an A because 2 blocked punts that led to 14 points. Yeah, that's an A.
Okay.
Allie?
I'm going to give him an A. I'd say a solid 95 maybe, just because of those 2 block punts. I think those were impressive enough for me to give him an A. I mean, of course they've got work to do, but, like, come on. When you see that they blocked 2 punts and that really did help change the game, I think they've got to get an A for sure.
Anytime the special teams makes an impact that's worth 14 points, that's an A.
Yeah, and Amendola has been great so far this season.
Yes.
All right, now to the defense. Probably the most exciting part about this team, which I really just said that about Oklahoma State. Their defense is the exciting part. That 4-2-5 flies around. They are physical. And Brett Rippon probably had a worse day than Quinn Skill in the punter at Boise State because he was even on the ground more than the punter, which is weird to say. Just take it away, Hallie. You can go for the next 8 minutes about this defense because I know I can.
Man, I could. What was that? Like, he was sacked like 7 times or something? I believe it was 7 times. Jordan Brailford sacked him twice. It was 3, and then they changed after the game. The updated stats had Bernard, who's a freshman, getting a sack, and Brailford twice. But, you know, when you have guys out there like Jordan Brailford, Calvin Bundage, who are really buying into Jim Knowles' aggressive defensive schemes, it's something else because, you know, I've watched OSU football for all my life, and I haven't seen, you know, the defense, they've really struggled at times, and they've had some guys who've been some standout players over the years, but it's been kind of up and down for them. So to see a defense that comes out this aggressive, I think Jim Knowles is doing great things with their team. And Jim Knowles, he's a really interesting person just to talk to in the post-game interviews. I think he's an innovative guy. He thinks outside the box. You know, the 4-2-5 defense is what he's known for, but he debuted 4 different formations, so he switched it up a little bit. He had Jordan Brailford moving all around the field, you know. He was at middle linebacker sometimes, outside linebacker, defensive end, so he really showcased his versatility. And, you know, he had that, Knowles used that 3-down package, which opponents hadn't seen before. So I think really just kind of, if he has the 4-2-5 as his basis, but then he also can surprise opponents with those other formations, I think that can really be effective because they won't know what to expect.
Yeah, they had 7 guys with 5 or more tackles. That Calvin Bundage, 12 tackles.
That's insane. 6 solo tackles.
Yeah,
that's insane.
They were in the backfield. It was just... Now, A.J. Green, there was a time the secondary had some issues, which is it's gonna happen with the 4-2-5. If you understand what the 4-2-5 does, you get gashed at times, which it's the risk you take. But it worked on Saturday because, you know, Brett Rippon wasn't comfortable outside of probably 10 minutes into the game. He was on his back more than not. So A.J. Green, he played pretty good, but he gave up 2 touchdowns, and the first one was bad. He got left in concrete. He couldn't move. But Hightower beat him on that one. Mm-hmm. And the other time, A.J. Green was doing everything he could, and Brett Rippon, I mean, what do you say when a quarterback makes a throw like that? But, you know, Malcolm Rodriguez, 11 tackles. That's something you haven't seen in Stillwater in a very long time. So now it's time for our grades.
Okay. Are you going first, Reed?
Oh, yeah, I'll give them an A.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? What else can I give them? I mean, they played great. Go ahead.
You know, so Jim Knowles himself actually put on the professor hat after the game and gave him a grade. He said that it was the first true test for the Cowboy defense, and he gave him a B. But, you know, Jim Knowles,
that's a coach
as
thing.
the defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
he's not going to give him an A this early on in the season. He's
Right.
going to be tough on him and make sure they grow. I'm going to give him a solid A. I think we're seeing things from this Cowboy defense that we haven't seen in a long time. Some of those guys you mentioned, Calvin Bundage, you know, he would be A+ for sure. There were several guys out there, like you mentioned, Malcolm Rodriguez made a big impact. And you've got guys like him and Brock Martin who are former wrestlers, and I think that's really helping them buy into Jim Knowles' aggressive defensive techniques too. But yeah, solid A for the defense for sure. It was a good day for them.
Yeah, they were flying all over the place. Do you have a defensive MVP? Mine would be Calvin Bundage or Malcolm Rodriguez, because that amount of tackles in a single game is ridiculous.
Yeah, those were impressive. See, for me, I might have to go with Jordan Brailford. He was who my story was focused on. I think partly because they did use him in so many different ways during that game, so he really showed his versatility, and then also with the couple of sacks he got. But Calvin Bundage would be a close second there for sure.
Yeah, I'd probably say Calvin Bundage just because of the amount of tackles he had, but the 2 sacks from Jordan Brailford and 3.5 tackles for loss, that's a big impact both those guys had on the defense this week. And I mean, you can't go without saying Malcolm Rodriguez with 11 tackles. That's something I haven't ever seen from Cowboy football.
Yeah, I mean, they held a 4-year starting quarterback to, 414 yards of total offense, 380 yards through the air. They gave up some big passes, but didn't matter in the end. But the stat that stands out to me is 34 yards on 31 rushing attempts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great. If you're Boise State and you look at that, that's almost embarrassing.
It hurts when Brett Rippon has negative 30 rushing yards because of all the sacks he took, but it's still not impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they held Alexander Madison. He had 14 carries, 53 yards, and as you said, they only had 34 net yards after all because of all those sacks. So they really held their playmakers in check for the most part. A.J. Richardson, 6 receptions, 70 yards. He had one of the touchdowns, and John Hightower had the 3 receptions, 44 yards, and probably one of the better touchdown catches I've ever seen. It was a great pass. And like you said with A.J. Green, I mean, when that happens, you just kind of have to...
Yeah, shake it off.
It happened. And Chase Blakely, they gave up a couple 4th down conversions to Boise State, one that led to a touchdown. But overall, I mean, there's not much you can criticize the Cowboy defense for. So they're playing another high-powered offense in Texas Tech on Saturday. Doesn't matter how good or bad Texas Tech is, anytime they play Oklahoma State, it's a really close game. And on social media, you would think they were OU with the rivalry and smack talk, which Texas Tech somehow finds something to trash talk about. But they haven't been very good for a while. But like I said, no matter how good or bad that they are, they're always competitive with Oklahoma State. So Saturday, we've got a couple minutes left, Hallie. What does the defense have to do, and what do you think the outcome of the game will be?
I think the defense really just has to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but I don't think they should change too much because it seemed to work for them really well this week. I think just continue to stay aggressive out there. I did like how Knowles switched it up with some different formations and putting some guys in some different places. And I know that he and Brailford said that was only like a little taste of what they could do. Like, they've got other formations because they kind of saved those back. You know, they'd worked on it for a while in spring practice, but they didn't really want to debut all their skills and all their different schemes at once. So I think maybe if we see some new schemes, that would be good. Really switching it up to surprise Texas Tech. And like I said, just staying aggressive, keeping that same mentality they have, really, because I think they're in a good place right now, so there's not much that they need to change. Outcome of the game, I think it's going to be close, but I do have OSU winning.
I think it'll be another competitive game. Logan, what do you think?
I don't think it's going to be close at all. I mean, I know you say it's usually close when we play them, but
knock on wood, Logan.
Not this year. I think the defense just has to keep Alan Bowman on his back, kind of like what they did with Brett Rippon, and I think they're going to be able to do that.
Well, Cowboys got a 44-21 win over Boise State. They move up to 15 in the polls, a big jump for the Cowboys as they take on Texas Tech to kick off Big 12 play. Thank you so much, Hallie, for coming on.
Yeah.
You might just have to come on next Monday. Only if OSU wins, though, because they don't win. We don't want to talk about it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Hallie Hart, the sports editor of the Ocala. But we do have to take a quick break before we get into a bunch of golf talk here with the Ryder Cup. It's all for America, Logan. We are going to dive into everything Team USA, Team Europe. But first, we want to thank one of our sponsors at OSU Communications. You can count on OSU Communications for all of your game day tips. They know all things game day from the walk to tailgating. We will be right back on OSU Student Radio KXZY September Channel 112. You're watching One on One.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back to One-on-One on OSU Student Radio, KXZY September Channel 112. As you are seeing some of the greatest golfers in the world that are on the right side of the Ryder Cup on Team USA, we are joined by Gabe Gutschel of Ocala Creative, but you're a golf expert. At least on One-on-One, you're a golf expert.
Yeah, I wouldn't say golf expert, but thanks for having me. I've been playing golf since I was like 5 years old, so I keep up with it more than any other professional sport. So that qualifies you for an
expertise,
expert,
I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
the
So
criteria.
you've been playing since you were 5. Do you get any better? Because I've also been playing since I was 5, and I can't seem to really get anything under control.
The way I get better is I'll play in the summertime after 5 months of not playing. I'll play for 2-3 weeks, and I'm exponentially better than I was earlier. But then when I play for a couple months at a time, when I'm vigorously practicing, then I get worse. So I think the more I think about it, the less my skills develop. So when you just go out and don't think about it as much, you're going to get better.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't even keep score, and that's when you play your best golf,
Yeah,
is
exactly.
when you're not thinking about it. But there's a big thing in the game of golf coming up here in a week or so, actually, the Ryder Cup.
Oh, yeah.
How important is this for golf in the United States?
The Ryder Cup is one of the coolest things that golf has as our sport. I mean, it's one of the most unique formats of a tournament. The U.S. versus Europe is a very strong rivalry in the Ryder Cup, but also just in the professional golf world with the PGA Tour and the European Tour. So, I mean, it's such a cool and unique opportunity for these guys to play and hone their skills through the match play format, best ball, alternate shot, whatever it is. It's a great opportunity for them to
develop as players themselves. And I think that Jim Furyk, the first-time captain this year, his first time as a captain, is going to do a phenomenal job. I think besides Phil Mickelson, he has the most experience on a Ryder Cup team. So there's no other guy you want out there coaching your guys.
Yeah, 9 times on the Ryder Cup. Now, last time we had the Ryder Cup, it was the red, white, and blue. They kind of stole the power back from Europe, but historically, it's not on our side. What do they have to do this year to kind of stick it to Europe again?
I think the main thing is that these young guys have to perform at a high level. You got Tony Finau and Bryson DeChambeau. It's their first time, I'm pretty sure, on the team, and they're playing some of the hottest golf on the tour right now. So you need those guys to perform exponentially well. And you obviously have to have the vets like Phil Mickelson and Jordan Spieth played on a couple at this point now. You have to have guys that have continued to bring dominance to the game to just show out and show what U.S. is about, because you're right, the U.S. statistically and historically has not done the best in this event. I remember watching the 2012 disaster unfold when we just choked a 9-point lead away on the final day, and it's just heartbreak. So we just can't have stuff like that happen again.
Yeah, I don't think the U.S. team has won in Europe since 1993, and it's in Paris this year, so that does not bode well for us. But I want to ask you, how do you use the guys like Phil Mickelson, the Tiger Woods, the guys that have been here before, to kind of help these first-time guys get through this tournament?
One of the cool things that I know Phil does is that he'll just take them into the lobby room or the break room and just play ping pong with them and just get to know them on a more personal level, which I think is a great way for the guys to kind of calm down and say, hey, this is a huge stage, but also we're just playing golf, and that's all we're doing. And so I think those guys, just the mentorship opportunity that they can have on these young professionals is a huge opportunity that they need to utilize.
Yeah, it tees off on September 25th through the 30th at Les Golf National in Paris. Who on this team, you talked about, DeChambeau and Finau, who, basically shattered his ankle, it felt like, at Augusta.
Yes, oh my gosh.
Came back and played well. There's a couple guys on this team, Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka. Maybe they should just tell Brooks Koepka it's the U.S. Open, and he'll do it by himself. Is there one guy for Team USA, as we're looking at Team Europe here, but anyone on Team USA who you're looking for to really kind of carry the team?
I mean, Brooks Koepka has been playing some of the most incredible golf on the highest level the past year, so I don't see him stopping anytime soon. But if he can just continue that reign of dominance on such a big stage, I think that should be a no-brainer that he helps carry the team in that way. But the way he just plays big game golf. He'll hit driver when everyone else is hitting a 6-iron off the tee, and he doesn't care. He just goes all out, which is very confident, but it seems to be working out for him. Won 3 majors within the past 2 years, so.
And there's a guy on this team that's really been struggling after, he won a few majors, and everyone, as they do in golf, they're always looking for the next Tiger. Jordan Spieth, he's been struggling. Do you think I always thought he was good on the big stage, but he's really kind of regressed over the past couple of years.
Yeah, he's just, obviously he won the Open Championship last year, so he's still got it. He still has what it takes, but when you're just in a drought like that, it's kind of demoralizing, and it just puts you down. He missed the Tour Championship this weekend by 1 spot. Yep. He was the first man out, which just stinks for him. But
and I think he's never finished below 15, right?
Yeah.
This year he finished 31st.
31st.
Yeah.
So he's obviously got to be beat up, but he's still got a spot on the Ryder Cup team, so he can go out and redeem himself. There's no question about it. But I hope he can, because he's a Texas boy, great kid. I think he's still got what it takes. He's just kind of in a slump.
And the always lovable Patrick Reed.
Yeah.
He's made for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
He is made for match play.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is not – there's really not a word we can say probably on TV that describes how most people feel about Patrick Reed, but he is arrogant, and he is made for match play. I'm not a big fan of Patrick Reed, but if I'm going in for my country and something this big – I almost want him at the forefront because he loves competition, loves it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's Captain America. When you have someone who's that devout as a teammate and just as a player, he's someone that they can all get behind, and just kind of feed off of his energy, which is so cool. But yeah, after that, one of the best golf matches I've ever seen was 2 years ago, him versus Rory, which was one of the duels of the century almost. So if he does something like that again, it'd be worthwhile for everyone to watch.
Now, there's an Oklahoma guy on this roster that everyone loves, Ricky Fowler. What are you expecting from Ricky going into this Ryder Cup?
He hasn't had the best year, obviously, but I still think that he performs well on the big stages like this. He's still looking for that first major, but he seems to do well in the Ryder Cups, and I think that this could be a good way for him to end his year on a high note. But who doesn't like Ricky Fowler? I mean,
right.
It's hard to cheer against the guy, so you want nothing but the best for him.
And who on Team Europe would you say is the biggest threat to America?
I mean, Molinari's been playing some incredible golf right now. He really has been. Jon Rahm has been extremely, extremely versatile this year, but I still think the main name that I'm scared of is Ian Poulter. Ian Poulter is just absolutely diabolical when it comes to his entertainment factor on the course, and he's one of the best match players of all time, no question, and he's just a competitor through and through. And so I think if he ends up having his way, he could be a real threat to Team USA.
And there's a lot of guys who have majors on that team.
Yeah.
Both rosters are loaded, as you would expect. Yeah. But you're looking at Jon Rahm, Ian Poulter. Justin Rose is another guy who's the past couple of years, it seems like he wins all the time, or else he's there on Sunday. And you said Francisco Molinari, he's been playing great. At the end of the day, what does Team USA have to do? Tommy Fleetwood as well.
Tommy Fleetwood.
Probably the best hair in all of the Ryder Cup.
Absolutely.
But he's had a phenomenal couple of years. What does Team USA have to do in Paris to win the Ryder Cup?
I think the main thing that they're going to have to do is just the dominating factor. I mean, it's Europe's home turf. They're going to have to go in there and just confidently know that they have what it takes. I think that with Koepka, with Dustin Johnson, their big game golf, I think they can't be conservative. They have to go all out with what they've got and just kind of bring the rain. I think that's one of the main things that they have to do. They can't go in just kind of tiptoeing around. They have to be assertive in their dominance, and I think they definitely can do it just after the win and the experience that they had from last 2 years ago's team. So we'll see if they can pull it off.
Well, we certainly hope so. Now I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who has the better roster and who wins?
I still think that U.S. wins just because of Brooks Koepka, DeChambeau. I think just the hot golf they're playing right now, the U.S. wins. But I really think it's going to be close. I think it'll be a good match, and it'll be a good time for the world to kind of look at golf on this level. It's one of the coolest events to watch in sports, and so I think the U.S. has the better roster, and they should pull it out.
So we're 7 months from Augusta. I'm looking forward. That's probably the greatest 4-day stretch.
Yes.
One of the greatest 4-day stretches in sports. Who on this roster, more particularly for Team USA, not counting the Ryder Cup, probably needs to have the best offseason and can compete at Augusta National in April?
I'd say that Justin Thomas. I think Justin Thomas needs to. He's one of my favorite golfers to watch right now, just the way he carries himself and delivers himself. I think if he has a good offseason and just kind of gets back to playing well. I mean, the dude's he won the PGA Championship last year. He can perform on a high level very well. I think that he has a good chance of winning it next year. I mean, it's 7 months out, so you can't really say, but I think that I'd look at him and you can't obviously count out Jordan Spieth. He just seems to love that place so much. So,
yeah,
never tell those two.
Now, we can't have you on for a golf segment, and for all golf segments until we quit doing this show, I'm going to ask you every single time: is Tiger back?
I don't think there's any question he's back. I mean, when you make the Tour Championship after not playing for a couple of years, that's a pretty incredible accomplishment. I remember watching the British Open this year, and I never thought again I'd say Tiger Woods is leading a major on a Sunday. And when you can say that, I mean, it's pretty evident that he's playing good golf now.
Yeah.
So how long until you think we see him win a major, not just lead it on Sunday, but win it?
I still don't know I don't know if he'll win one still.
Yeah.
But I definitely say that he's back to playing at least the high caliber golf that we expect of him.
Okay.
To make a Ryder Cup team, and to be in contention in the Tour Championship, that's a win in anyone's book. That's what all golfers, the whole year they strive to make it to the Tour Championship. And then he hasn't even played in that many events this year compared to some of those other guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say he's back, absolutely.
What do you think of his chances in the FedEx Cup real quick?
What's he ranked right now? I think it's
20?
outside. Yeah, he's outside the top 10, I knew. So he's going to have some help from those other guys to do bad, because the top 5, I'm pretty sure, automatically win.
Yeah.
But I would love it if he just played well. If he could just win the Tour Championship and not, if he doesn't win the FedEx Cup, it's still just a big boost for him. But whenever he plays good, it's good for the game of golf in itself. And so you just want him to do good so the game of golf grows.
Yeah, Reed and I both agree, without Tiger Woods, there's not really much for the sport.
No, they don't have a young dominating force. When at the European Open, when he had the lead on Sunday and he kind of choked, I seriously, that was like devastating to me, because I thought if Tiger has a lead at this point on Sunday and he didn't win, it's gone forever. And then he bounced back at the Open and almost did it again. So until he wins once, I don't think he'll ever be Tiger Woods of the early just not. It's like asking Michael Jordan to go out and play in the finals now. It's just not. It's over. But I do want to see him win another major. Thank you so much, Gabe, for coming on.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having us, or having me. It's been a blast. I wouldn't say I'm a golf expert by any means, but
you are on this stage.
I'll still go out and try to play every now and then. So, of course, thanks for having me again, guys.
Well, we will have you back probably to talk about the results of the Ryder Cup.
Of course.
Let's hope it's a fun thing to talk about. Thank you so much for Gabe from the Ocala Creative for coming on. We do want to thank a couple of our sponsors before we get out of here. Thank you to The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join our Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetable.OSU for more information. And Camel Property Management. If you were looking for luxury living in Stillwater, please contact Camel Property Management at 405-372-9225 or visit their website at campbellmgmt.com for more information. We'll be right back on One-on-One, OSU Student Radio, KXZY, Sunlink Channel 112. Welcome back to One-on-One, OSU Student Radio, KXZY, Sunlink Channel 112. We are live from Studio 318 here on the beautiful campus of Oklahoma State University, live on Facebook and YouTube as well. Logan, Josh Gordon's a Patriot.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to be a Patriot for very long.
I think you can get a couple weeks out of him. Like, I don't think he's going to be there very long. I doubt he's there at the end of the year, but I think until Julian Edelman comes back, they're going to try and get as much out of him as they can.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. So we only have about 11 minutes here. I'm going to ask you some rapid-fire questions.
Okay.
You're going to give me a yes or no or a short answer, and then we'll go about it. Do the new NFL rules suck?
Yes. They
Thank
are
you.
awful. They ruin games. I mean, that Green Bay Minnesota game, there was a roughing the passer call at a crucial point. Kirk Cousins throws an interception, gets called back because Clay Matthews was roughing the passer. I say in air quotes. That was not the case. That was not roughing the passer. That was a normal tackle. Like, I don't know what he could have done differently. But, yeah, I think it's going to get under control, though. But, yes, they're awful.
Yeah, you can't hit him high, can't hit him low, and if you hit him in the ribs, you can't hit him with your body
full,
weight.
Yeah.
It's
no
a
full
joke.
Body weight.
So because of that hit, there was a tie yesterday in Green Bay, the second tie in a row, the first time that's happened since 1973. So that leads me to my next question. Should the NFL get rid of ties?
Yeah, college overtime is the way to do it for football. I mean, no one likes a tie. No one obviously wins with a tie. No one leaves happy. Green Bay fans were upset. Minnesota fans were upset. Like, nobody won. It's no one, including the fans. Nobody wins.
Yes, and I mean, as Aaron Rodgers said yesterday, it's pretty close to an L.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. All right, so all I have written here is Patrick Mahomes forever.
Yes.
Is he the next GOAT?
Yes, he is, Reed. This is why I pick for your Chiefs every week.
And this is why I pick against them.
Because of Patrick Mahomes?
Listen, Logan, what am I picking the Chiefs? Have I picked them to win yet?
No.
And what are they?
They're 2-0.
Thank you. I'm telling you, if I pick against them, look at that.
This man has a cannon.
Oh, he is great. 10 touchdown passes through his first 2 weeks. The most touchdowns through first 2 weeks for an NFL starting quarterback. Oh, he's phenomenal. The Chiefs' defense sucks.
It's pretty
awful. But they jumped out to a 21-0 lead. You know, the Steelers tied, but ended up winning 42-37. So do you think he's the next great thing in the NFL?
I do. I think he is the antidote to Andy Reid. I think when you jump out to a big lead and Andy Reid gets conservative and they come back, you can fall back on Patrick Mahomes in a way you couldn't on Alex Smith. Patrick Mahomes might win you guys a playoff game.
Oh, you're making my heart skip a beat there, Logan. It is exciting times, but he's 23-28, 326 yards for 6 touchdowns last week. Like I said, 10 touchdowns through the first 2 weeks. He is absolutely phenomenal. Do the Steelers miss Le'Veon Bell?
Absolutely. And, I mean, James Conner's putting up numbers for him.
Not
Le'Veon Bell numbers. They're missing Le'Veon Bell. They're going to continue to miss him. And they're going to miss him next year when he's gone. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, next question. Is it too soon to start Carson Wentz? He is medically cleared, and he is going to start Sunday, according to head coach Doug Peterson. But is it too early to start him?
No.
No?
I trust doctors. I mean,
no.
their team
okay,
doctors.
Kawhi Leonard fan.
I was getting to that. Just hold on. Just hold on there. They're team doctors, so they're incentivized to make the guy play. But I think the Eagles realize how important Carson Wentz is to them and to that whole division. As a matter, that division is awful without Carson Wentz in it. So I think they would only bring him back if they thought he was ready and he was ready to lead them to win that division. So I think it's time.
Next question. Does John Gruden miss the booth?
Yeah, but the booth does not miss John Gruden. And
I don't know if you watch the Monday night broadcast. I miss him in the booth. Let me tell you. Because Jason Witten,
not quite.
Not John Gruden.
Yeah. But yeah, he definitely misses it. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, that was a pretty close game in Denver.
Yeah. So the Raiders really controlled most of the game, but John Gruden
our
and the
kicker
Raiders
was one of the only ones that did not miss a kick last week, so I will take that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a long 10 years, and I don't even think it's going to be 10 years for him in Oakland/Las Vegas. But yeah, I think he'll return to the booth sooner rather than later.
All right, now I'm going to issue a formal apology.
To Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs?
No. I'll pick against them every week as long as they keep winning, man.
What?
It is too...
That's so backwards.
Logan, it's just the way it is. If I expect them to lose, I pick them to lose, and they go out and win. Why would I change it?
But why do you expect them to lose? Anyway, we'll talk about that on another day.
How many times do we have to go over this?
It's the regular
season.
How
long have I been a Chiefs fan? 21 years and 3 months. And let's see, what is today? The 18th?
Yeah, 17th.
And 8 days.
Okay.
21 years, 3 months, and 8 days. I have been a Chiefs fan. And they have disappointed me at the end of every single season. It's just the way it is, man.
The beginning of the season. This is when you got to be high on them.
Oh, listen, it's 2 games. There's still 14 more to go, and hopefully 4 more after that. But I want to issue a formal apology to Ryan Fitzpatrick and the people that took our fantasy advice. If they did, that's your own fault. But we said to sit him because he would never do that again. He did. And then he came out in post-game looking awesome.
He looked like something. I don't know if it was awesome.
Oh, you're telling me in that press game conference when he's wearing Deshaun Jackson stuff, he didn't look awesome?
No.
What?
I saw a tweet. Someone say he looked like Conor McGregor's alcoholic brother, and they were exactly right. He looks like a mess in that jumpsuit.
All right. Well, I don't agree with you, but he's 27 to 33, 402 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. If I could afford that outfit, I'd wear it on Wednesday for Robert Allen. But I have a feeling that
I'll find a way to get you something like that.
Something like it, not that.
Yeah.
I don't have the chest hair like Ryan Fitzpatrick though. But as I said, 27 of 33, 402 yards and 4 touchdowns and an interception.
He's still balling out there. I can't knock his play like I can his post-game apparel choices, but
yeah.
I still think he's coming down to earth sooner rather than later. I do think Jameis Winston has lost his job.
That was my next question. If he continues to play half as good as he has been, do you think Jameis Winston will get his job back?
No, Jameis Winston has lost his job. He needs to be looking somewhere else because he's not going to be in Tampa Bay much longer. I think even if Ryan Fitzpatrick just kind of goes back to Ryan Fitzpatrick, they won't start Jameis Winston because why would you want to deal with that? Why would you want to deal with the headache that is Jameis Winston?
Yeah, he is not he's not a pro's pro,
no.
as we like to say. So I have 2 more questions, a couple minutes here really quickly. Is the state of Florida for real in the NFL? Jags 2-0, Bucks 2-0, Dolphins 2-0.
Okay, obviously the Dolphins are not for real.
Okay,
the Jags, I think, might be for real. The Bucks are also not for real. So, they're a third for real.
All right.
Take that for what it's worth.
All right, who has been the surprising team for you so far? I know it's only 2 weeks, but who has impressed you so far?
It's been Tampa. I mean, I just said they're not for real, but they've surprised me because I thought they were going to be absolutely garbage. I thought they were going to be down there with Buffalo, but they're sitting at 2-0, knocking off the Saints and the defending champs.
Yes. Now is my next question. Vontae Davis.
Oh my gosh.
He retired at halftime. I mean, he just quit. I mean, he walked in at halftime and was like,
it's the
I'm
weirdest
out. I'm
thing
done.
I've ever seen in my life, anything outside of sports, in sports, quitting in the I could just walk off right now. Be like, Reed, I'm done. What would you do?
I guess what Buffalo did. Mean, so really quickly, we got to wrap it up. Was it disrespectful?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, he was just like, I'm done. He's like, I'm out. All right, we have to get out of here. We will be back on Wednesday with Robert Allen. Thank you guys so much for watching One-on-One. Logan Mosier, I am Reed Spencer. Please watch Wednesday with Robert Allen. You've been watching One-on-One on Ocean Radio, KXZY, Suddenlink, Channel 112. Man, I'm out. It's remarkable. Remarkable.
Give me my check.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care. It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.